Let's freaking go. The guest I've always wanted on this channel. This is one of the fastest rising LSU media members that I know. Blake, I'm so happy to have you here from Are You Serious Sports. Let's go, Blake. A member of the Booger Band Club, Blake. Let's
Boom.
freaking go.
What's
Let's
happening?
go. How you doing, Blake?
We're doing good, man. Just, blessed.
I'm telling
Just
you, man.
as in the great words of Coach Steeples, I'm blessed.
Blessed. I love it, baby. So this is what's really
And
cool.
and I'm getting power. Puns are intended from my Jerry Stovall signed card that I purchased for the small price of you. It doesn't matter what the price is. It's not yours. And it sits where it always does right here in front of me, Carter.
Look at that, man. We welcome in Mick, Jerry, Jamie, Ray, Reed, everyone in here having a good time. So, with your Booger Band, whenever you got Booger Bands, I hooked you up with an autograph card. If someone buys Booger Bands tonight, I am hooking you up with an autograph LSU card tonight. I normally don't send out autos. I do have one I will send out tonight. So, this is really cool. For those that don't know, Blake, he's a lot like our prior guest. You're very accomplished. So our first guest is a former NFL running back, obviously Jeremy Hill, one of the all-time greats at LSU. Our last guest, Van Lathan, won an Oscar, one of the most successful media members probably around, definitely under 45. Blake, you have a lot of claims to fame as well, just like those guys, man. You are you're right on. You're on their level, baby. Let's go.
Well, I'm not. I didn't carry for 1,800 yards in the SEC. I didn't win an Oscar, but you know what I did do? I got absolutely obliterated one time by Fletcher Cox when we played Mississippi State. So that's my claim to fame.
There you go, man. So, for those that don't know, Blake actually did play the game at the collegiate level, and you've started this unbelievable media brand. Are You Serious Sports? It's one of my favorites. You and I hang out like basically all the time. And what's really interesting is what makes this really exciting for me is you and I talk on the phone for like hours at a time whenever we're just not on here. And now we get to actually have the conversation tonight. So, this is probably the most fascinating thing to me, Blake, when I look at LSU right now. We're at this stage where the national media views Brian Kelly one way and the local media views things, and just fans in general views things differently. How do you feel as far as how the hires have come, how the recruiting is done? If you were going to give Brian Kelly a grade since he's been hired, what would you give it right now?
Carter, that's a good question. In non-fanboys fashion, I want to give him a B plus, A minus.
Right.
Okay, like I understand that a lot of people are freaking out about recruiting rankings, but Carter, I think that we're in a deeper hole than what people actually realize. Meaning, our roster is worse than 6-6 from a depth perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that you look at somebody. I look at somebody as they're playing right now in Michigan State, and you have to see what Mel Tucker did. And I'm not saying like a guy like a Harold Perkins or Jacoby Matthews is somebody that you don't want on your team. I'm not saying that. But, Carter, do you want a left tackle that's a freshman All-American that can play right now in the trenches and more than likely in the SEC? Or do you want to have to develop? I don't think Brian Kelly's a loser. I think he wants to go and win now. Right. So I think that here's what it feels like to me, Carter, from the national media and even local media from some people, is that they feel like Brian Kelly's just sitting there in LSU football ops doing nothing.
Right.
That's not true. And so, like, I talked to a 5-star recruit within the week, and I'm asking him because there's a big thing going on about this NIL stuff and LSU's far behind. And I asked him about it, and he goes, "Excuse me for saying this, but the hell, I didn't know that. You could have fooled me." And so, Carter, I just think that I just said this on my show. We fear what we don't know.
Right.
We fear evolution. We fear change. And change is always good when it comes with a good leader. Guys, Kim Mulkey just beat the number 13 team in the nation tonight. Like, legitimately within a year, beat the number 13 team in the country. Brian Kelly wants to win. Now, what Kim Mulkey didn't do is there was a 5-star girl on the board. She didn't go sign her. What did she do? She got 4 girls out of the portal, and they're winning. I think, Carter, in today's society, that's how you win now. And then you start building the recruiting classes behind you. So I still give Brian Kelly, I'd say probably an A-. I know that we have our differences. Our only argument that me and you have had so far, which is kind of crazy, is on Matt House. And it's not really an argument more than a debate. But I still think that the Coach Steeple's hire, I love it. Now, can he recruit? I don't know, but I still like the hire. So I like what he's done so far.
So let me start with, obviously, the big question here is Caucus with his bands right here. I love it, man. And look, you got PHL Family Book Band Club. You gotta love it. Let me ask you this question. Obviously, the biggest story right now is the Harold Perkins interview. Mm-hmm. Right? A lot of people are freaking out about it. I've gotten a few texts about it today. Here's the first thing I'll say. All right, so, and this is from a media perspective, that's a really tough spot to do an interview, right? Mm-hmm. And because the guy that's filming the interview is also asking the questions.
Right.
It's really nerve-wracking, especially knowing that is the primetime interview. That is the number 1 uncommitted prospect at the Under Armour All-American game. And at the same time, Harold Perkins just got done with the workout. So I would have asked a follow-up question just to simply say, so is LSU out of it? And just get a simple yes or no. Because it's still unclear if Harold Perkins is just completely out of it. However, Blake, a lot of people did freak out. And look, it's rational to freak out about this, that Harold Perkins said something about senior pictures and him and Brian Kelly not being able to meet up. What was your reaction to
that? I a little shocked, Carter, honestly. I'm also shocked he didn't call him back or that they didn't line something up. That's what I'm more shocked that he didn't like want to reconnect with him. Right? Like, you got the head coach of LSU calling you. Why don't you want to reconnect with him? That tells me more than I need to know. And Carter, I don't mean this in a wrong way. And it's going to sound like this, but I don't mean it in a wrong way. It's business now with NIL. Okay. Yeah. And you got to play this business. Why do you think Florida's in the mix now? Florida just magically came into the mix within the last 24 hours. Excuse my language, but BS. Look, Billy Napier's a good coach. I think he's a really good coach. He ain't that good of a recruiter and good coach. Not that you don't know what you have in Billy Napier more than what you know that you have in Brian Kelly and Jimbo Fisher.
Right.
So that clearly what he's saying to everyone is, hey, we're open for business. There's nothing in today's society, in my opinion, Carter, there's nothing wrong with that if you play those cards right. Okay? If everybody else is going to do it, why shouldn't you? If Denver Harris or the Hunter kid, and then we got, now that's a whole different story in and of itself. You got to play that game. Carter, I grew up in a single parent household. Okay. If somebody would have given me $100,000 deal for 4 years, whether it be a lot of money to some or maybe not a lot to others, to me, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money now. So I'm not, basically the way that I took it was initial shock, but ultimately we're open for business like we're 7-Eleven.
Yeah, I mean,
how did you take it?
Number 1, I think he's by far the best player in this class. I really do. I think he's really, really special. But at the same time, I listened to an interview, ironically, that Billy Napier did with Paul Feinbaum, and I agreed with what Billy Napier said, that the most important thing he needs to do is hire his staff. And I cannot say this enough about how difficult it is to leave Notre Dame and go to LSU, a brand new situation where you're doing all these interviews and you're meeting with all these new people and you're having to figure out what exactly am I doing, where am I going to live, what's my life going to be like here. There's so much transition to where it's really hard to keep up with everyone. With that said, Harold Perkins should be target number one. This isn't your normal out of state 5-star. This is a guy who is very interested in playing at LSU. Don't you think Harold Perkins would like to live out his uncle's dream and play for LSU? Absolutely. A lot of his family loves LSU more than any other school. I do think LSU fumbled it here. Now, if the reason you couldn't reach out to him is because, well, I'm trying to focus in on fully building my staff, totally get it. I do. But once again, this is a guy who legit has Micah Parsons type of upside. We're talking about a Chason type of player that actually is going to put up big Arden Key type of numbers wherever he goes. So I really would like Harold Perkins to be a part of this program really, really, really badly, because I know what he can do as a modern day hybrid defender. I mean, we don't even know at this point if linebacker is his best position. I mean, his running back tape is truly transcendent. So whatever he decides to do, obviously that's what he's going to do. But Blake, at the same time, this guy is a true Grant Delpit type of difference maker on your defense.
Well, Carter, I'm going to counter that by saying this. The kid literally is coming off a weekend where they just played for the state title.
Right.
Okay. So let's just say hypothetically, he goes to school, he goes to practice, he then goes home. Brian Kelly is just like Nick Saban in recruiting in reference to he is going to let his position coaches go out there and make the initial, he's going to let them do it, and then he's going to come in and close. I think the problem – so I did get it sourced that Frank Wilson and company has been talking with Harold Perkins, and I don't want to say on a religious basis, Carter, but on a fairly frequent basis. Now, the problem is that, I think BK does have a lot to look into. And, Carter, this is to my point about the roster problems, right? Meaning this, okay, you had to give 4 walk-on scholarships or 4 scholarships to 4 walk-ons to be bowl eligible. Let me now I know that I freak out for my listeners, so I'm going to freak out for yours. Carter, we had to give freaking 4 scholarships to walk-ons to be bowl eligible, and we ain't even got COVID. We're acting like LeBron. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. Like you're having to do that just to be bowl eligible, and COVID ain't even hit you yet. So I sit back and ask myself, I had an analyst tell me today, what do you really think that we're doing? And I'm like, brother, I don't know. I mean, because there has been the less amount of leaks in this staff so far than Edwards run and Les Miles combined in my memory.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. One thing I do want to bring up, once again, I want to shout out a few super chatters. Thanks again to all.
Let's do it. They're giving us that paper. They're giving us that cheddar. Let's do an NIL deal for Harold Perkins.
Hey, I'll do it. If Harold wants to jump on here now, I will give Harold all my super chat money tonight if he jumps on this live.
I'll put $100 in that super chat.
Yeah, I mean, look.
Let me text Unc right quick.
Text him. Tell him if Harold Perkins wants to jump on here, because sometimes our super chats go up. I will give him 100% of my super chats tonight if he jumps on the live stream. So if someone knows him, just tell him and just let Harold Perkins join it. And this isn't me saying, Harold, I'm giving you this money. You better go to LSU. I just want to see his face on here tonight. first off, I want to meet this guy because I think he's going to be an all-pro NFL player. I really do think. Like when I watch him, it feels like a clowny type of thing. Like it feels like you're watching something truly
Special.
spectacular.
Right.
Thanks to Max for the super chat. He totally agrees with you, Blake, about Ed Orgeron and the roster situation. There's no other way around how bad our roster is shaped right now. Even after the end of last year, our roster was decimated. The end of this year, our roster is decimated. And a lot of people like to lay blame. Well, it's Tommy Moffitt. His workout plan is outdated. I actually don't believe that. I've spoken to a few people who know more about strength and conditioning than I do. Moffitt might have needed to go. I'm not saying he should have kept his job or whatever. I totally get bringing in a new guy, Jacob Flint, but that wasn't the reason why the roster fell apart. The reason why the roster fell apart is we were being coached really badly. And Blake, you and I do agree on this, and I know you've gotten heat for it. I know I've gotten heat for it just talking to, viewers of the channel. I don't think people realize how shallow our roster is going into next season. So we're going to need to get some transfer portal guys in. I know we signed a deep snapper tonight. Let's go. But Blake, this roster needs not a lot of work. The first teamers are good, but in the SEC, you need more than first teamers. You need second teamers and you need third teamers as well.
Well, I mean, like, let's look at the defensive line, for example. The interior, if you're running an odd man front, Carter, you have Jacoby and Guillory, you have Jaquelin Roy, you have Mason Smith. Then you have Jarrell Cherry. And that's not a shot. That's not a shot at anybody. That's just to say that that's your four interior defensive linemen. Now, are you going to put in there? Are you going to put in Quincy Wiggins? Look, Quincy Wiggins is a very physical and big human being. He's not ready for the SEC, not right now. So, and look, people hate when I say, oh, these guys aren't day one starters. I think that we have to understand what it takes to play in the interior of the SEC. It's not easy. It's tough.
True.
Trust me. I played against Fletcher Cox, and he ate my lunch and then laughed and giggled about it while he drooled and sweat all over my face. It's not fun. Okay, so with that being said, you're going to have to go get a severe amount of bodies, Carter. They might have even 3 or 4 guys that after the bowl game are going to either leave or go into the draft. And now you're down to maybe 48, 49 guys at max. Carter, they have to get a whole nother 30 to get to close to the 85 scholarship limit. That's unheard of. It's crazy. It's unbelievable. They're going to have to add depth. You need it at quarterback as much as people love Miles Brennan. He's been hurt. You need it there. Walker Howard's still hurt. People forget about that. You need depth at running back. I mean, look, Amari Goodwin got hurt. Corey Connor, what happens with John Emery? You need depth on O-line. You need depth everywhere. Carter, I'm going to tell you this. It's something that came up to me today. Kari Gee was a guy who once was committed to LSU and then went to Notre Dame. He was moved down to outside linebacker, okay? And talking about this Harold Perkins thing too, I'm not saying Harold Perkins is not better than him, but just, there's sometimes you go for the thing that you know more than the thing that you don't. And I wonder if Kari Gee, who's been moved inside the box and a box, safety linebacker that they like a lot, if he's not a guy that LSU targets in the portal too.
I love
Kari. Get it. I get it, but
I really did. 6'3", long, Atlanta, played at a high level there. I'd be interested, right? There's all these 3-star guys that LSU was after that turned out to be like good true freshman players. Not necessarily Kari Gee, but Jordan Gilbert played a lot of Texas A&M, Logan Diggs. So you're always going to have these guys. What's really interesting now, though, Blake, is the transfer portal. Mm-hmm. And you do a good job keeping up with it. It is fascinating, though, how much can Brian Kelly extract out of the transfer portal? Like I'm refreshing this thing every day, and I learned just a few hours ago about this safety from Northwestern that's in the transfer portal right now. Blake, I've got to say this: our safety play the last couple of seasons has not been good. It has not
Nope.
been good at all. All right. And I know we were spoiled with Craig Stelz and Jamal, and the long list goes on. Yeah, I mean, let me put it this way: our safety play, John Battle would have been by far our best. And John Battle was a really good football player, but that's the point. He's probably the 30th best safety that's played at LSU ever. Mm-hmm. So we haven't even gotten that. It's been a very inconsistent position when it comes to tackling, coverage, all those different things. Do you think we can find a lot of gems in the transfer portal that can come play for us right now? And do you think Brian Kelly is really going to try and do that?
Well, even like the kid from Hawaii that went in the portal and had 4 offers, Carter. He went in the portal. He was in the portal for 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
He had an offer from LSU. He had an offer from Georgia. He had an offer from Alabama. He had an offer from USC, Oklahoma. Like, yes, I mean, I think that you can go and do it. Here's the funny thing, and look, why I loved Mel Tucker so much, Carter, in this coaching process. He has set a blueprint for what it takes for a roster that is very bad depth-wise and what it takes to win. I don't know the score right now, but last time I checked, they were winning. Okay, you're going to have to do that. You know who else is a rival to Notre Dame? Michigan State. Do you think that Brian Kelly wasn't monitoring that? A lot of these coaches were monitoring what Mel Tucker was doing. I think that you can do it. The question is, can you do it in the SEC and you be effective? It's not a mainstay. You can't do it more than 1 year. You're going to have to it's going to have to be this 1 year to give you some wins. But I think that he can do it for this year. Look, and Carter, I hear some things that there's, this thing at Notre Dame's not done yet. Okay, so what happens if you go and get a linebacker that's a sophomore that technically as a freshman almost led the ACC in tackles? So I'm throwing some things. That meme where your boy, I forget his name, but he's like this.
Yeah, of course. We talked about it. And this is actually Jay Hill's favorite comedian, Drewski.
Oh, I'd say I didn't even know that. But I'm just kind of say, bro. Carter, there's a reason. I don't think that Brian Kelly doesn't call Harold Perkins and lets him go awry, or even I know he's talking to Jacoby Matthews. Yeah. But getting on safety play, look, the kid from Northwestern, he's going to have his slew of picks. He's like Henry To'o from last year.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be able to go wherever he wants. I pray to sweet baby Jesus, 7-pound, 3-ounce, sweet ounce baby Jesus, that he comes to LSU. Is a good player. But safety's a problem here, Carter. I just mentioned this on my show. Carter, they were getting lost in man-to-man coverage. Carter, they were getting lost in man-to-man coverage in 20 and 21. Right. We were 127th in 2020 and 91st this year in pass defense. Okay, that is horrendous. How do you get lost in man-to-man coverage when you know this corner has 1, this corner has 2, safety has whatever they want to call and whatever they want to do with them? I have the tight end, I have the 3 as the back, whatever, it's 11 or 12 personnel. I just think that they're lost. I don't think that they've been well coached. And so I wonder, is the talent there, Carter, or with good coaching? That's what I wonder.
So let's talk about Matt House. Once again, if you want to super chat a question to ask Blake, we're very lucky to have him be a part of the channel tonight. So,
sorry, Carter, we have a gift. Go see Mama. Say hey, Mr. Carter.
Huh?
Say hey. Love you. Go see Mama. Go.
I gotta say.
Sorry about that.
No. If I got to give Christmas card rankings, you're number 1, man. You're still on our
damn
grid.
Right. You're damn right.
Yeah, the Christmas card was great, man. I didn't know how huge you were. I was like, goodness gracious, you're 6'8". I was like, wow, that is amazing.
Did you see how my biceps were ripping through a long sleeve shirt?
I,
It was it was
telling
magic.
you, man. God dog. You know what's interesting though? So I I've been labeled as like a madhouse skeptic, right? I
bro,
really have.
bro,
Everybody,
they come
everybody,
after you with that one.
I know, I know. If you just say something, especially if it's a new coach, right? Now, let me say this. I actually did have a coordinator text me last night, and he was like, you know, you're way off about Matt House. Like, he's really good. He says he's Dave Aranda type of potential. It's a coordinator I trust a lot. He's coaching a really coaches. Let me just put it this way: he coaches really good at the college level. And he said, Garner, he can really coach. A little different than Aranda. Plays a lot of zone when he blitzes, where Aranda didn't. But still, it was very interesting. I might post a conversation in a video upcoming, but that made me feel a little bit more confident because the main point I made in the other video, right? Let me just throw this to you, Blake. Let's take LSU out of the equation. And I asked you that another big time college football job hired a defensive coordinator who has not called plays in 3 years. And that same defensive coordinator only had one elite season out of the 5 years he's been a defensive coordinator. If I just gave you those two facts, how would you feel about the hire?
I would question it. You know,
Right.
I would question what, you know, you said he had one great year. Was his one great year Joe Brady 2019 level? Like what was the great year? Why did he leave? Why did he go to the NFL? Why was he not retained? Who was he coached? I think that there's a lot of variables that I would look at. You know, even Carter, I'm looking at the 2018 film of Kentucky, and I'll tell you this, just from an upfront man perspective, meaning from your front five and a passing scale level, Carter, it reminds me a little bit of UCLA in a sense, but a little bit more crisp, if that makes sense. Okay. They're going to Steve Spagnuolo your ass. They're going to play some cover zero. But they're going to make it look like it is, and then all of a sudden, when there's 3 seconds left on the play clock, and they're running out, and you're like, oh shit, well, where's he going? I think that sometimes, and you and I both know this, the stats don't always show what the film says, and the film doesn't always show what the stat says.
True.
And so I looked at some of the film in 2018, that Florida game as an example. I thought that they legitimately outcoached the entire Florida staff. Now, that's not saying much maybe to some, but I still think Dan Mullen is an offensive wizard.
Yeah,
okay?
no,
You know, and so I just asked myself the question, why did he truly go to the NFL? You know, we got some people from Kentucky saying that he didn't want to recruit. And Carter, I'm going to tell you, that's got to be the coldest lie I've ever heard in my life. You mean to tell me a man did that good as a defensive play caller and you're letting him go because he can't recruit? On film, from what I've personally seen so far, I like it. Here's my worry, Carter. And I know you're going to, you know, I'm going to agree with you on this one. They give up some big plays and they get lost in that zone. But how much are you willing to allow that to happen when in today's offensive society? You know, if you ever seen the cooking show, the Triple D, we have an AYS Triple D. It's dominating defenses are dead in today's society. Everybody this year talked to me about Georgia, and I kept preaching, wait until Bama, wait until Bama, wait until Bama. Bama came, and with all due respect, they put a whooping on that behind like a kid that stole candy and it was eating candy he wasn't supposed to. So I like when I see from a schematic standpoint, the biggest thing for me that I love the most is a lot what Durante Jones did this year. They're going to go odd man front. They're going to go an even man front. They're going to walk guys down. They're going to back guys out. They're going to put safeties at the line. They're going to put backers at the line. Carter, there's times that he's putting corners on the line and dropping them out. I like the confusion because when you don't know where something's coming from, you start second guessing yourself. And that's a problem if you're an offensive lineman or a quarterback. unless you're like Joe Burrow and it doesn't really matter and he's just going to pick you apart. But
Yeah.
that's few or far between.
Shout out to Max again, our NYC PHL Prez. I like what Matt House was able to do in KC. Under Spags, also learning all those fabricated pressure schemes. Very interesting here from Mark. So Matt Jones is just a ridiculously talented radio host. He's really well connected in Kentucky, and I didn't see this. This is very interesting. Said that one-way House would have ended back at Kentucky if Brad White had gone to LSU or vice versa.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. I could see that being true. I really could. So, yeah.
Well, and Carter, you know what's another thing too is, I mean, you've talked about this, and I agree with you. The pace of play,
right?
But here's another thing, though. He's learned a lot in Kansas City about pace of play too. I mean, he's been on a defensive staff where that offense is going to really go after it. So, I mean, he's been around it too, but I think that he's been around both. And look, he's literally covered the best the last 2 seasons or last 3 seasons. I'm really interested to see what he does, though, Carter, honestly, man.
It's interesting from Carvis. Georgia really didn't pressure Bama, which I think was by design, especially if they play again. Georgia versus Bama will be a different game.
I agree with that.
Yeah, this is key, right? Stop the explosive plays. That's the key thing on defense right now. And these past couple of seasons, LSU just gave up too many explosive plays because they were so much easier to diagnose. So that's what I said on Jay Hill's show on 104.5 earlier this week. All I said was this, right? I feel happy that someone new is going to have a non-man coverage on every snap.
Oh, God, I know.
That's like the most comforting thing for me. And
we're at LSU. We play man coverage, though, Carter.
On every snap. We're going to do it. Even if we give up 1,000 points. Even if we make Bo Nix look like Johnny Manziel, we're going to do it. We want to make Bo Nix good. We want to make Oregon fans feel like they're actually getting something. But it is very.
You know what's interesting too, Carter? Look, me being an offensive guy, I know Jay Hill's in here. He might agree or disagree. I don't know. I'm very critical on the offense, like a little too critical. Talking about this Georgia game very quickly and Georgia, Alabama, you also got to convert on third down, right? Like you can't allow Alabama multiple shots at it. But look, I think he's right. If you don't pressure and if you don't go after Bryce Young, you're in trouble. Durante Jones gave you the blueprint. It's going to be interesting for me to see what Luke Fickell and company come out with. Carter, what does it matter? Like my whole thing has been about this Cincinnati and Alabama thing is what does it matter if he's going to burn you either way? Why not try to hit him? Why not try to get after him? And so pressure is always the number one problem for a quarterback. And so here's the number one thing the LSU struggled with. They couldn't get home with 4. They want to play a specific defense. They couldn't get home with 4. 5 guys can't block 6. Sometimes you got to send more guys than there is to block, period. And sometimes you're going to win, sometimes you're going to lose. But Carter, here's the funny thing. There's 60, 65, 70 snaps in a game. If you win 4 of them, you're really good. How nuts is that?
Yeah,
right? Like how nuts is it that you only got to do it 4 times in a game and you're elite? You're an elite defense if you get home 4 times.
All right, so I'm going to say something that won't be popular because I think a lot of people actually do think Bama's going to roll Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati keeps it close. I do. There's so many different reasons why. Bama has been heavily reliant on the explosive plays, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're going to give up explosive touchdowns, Cincinnati, right? This is the best corner duo in college football this year. Luke Fickell knows tonight go with the explosive play. I guarantee you he is watching that Georgia tape over and over. Bama's offensive line is not elite enough for me to feel comfortable them covering 14 points. Also, something else to keep in mind, let's just say you think Bama is going to control this game. Well, in semifinals, they have a tendency to take the foot off the gas, right? Really, only Michigan State was a semifinal where Alabama just blew the brakes off of the team that they played. So I do think this
A former Saban assistant, I might add.
right. So I think this game will be. I can easily see a 31-21, a 28-21 type of game. I'm not in love with Cincinnati's weapons, but I think they're good enough to move the football. And look, let me ask you this, right? The Georgia game was the only game where you would say right now that Alabama played phenomenally, right? Would you agree with that? The entire month of
Oh, no,
November,
no doubt.
when they played Power 5 teams, they played like trash versus LSU. They were not great against Arkansas, and they sure as heck weren't good against Auburn. And it was a rare circumstance. The SEC championship game was a game where the team that needed to win was the team with the less pressure. Georgia, all the pressure was on Georgia. They played very tentative. I think Kirby coached a little scared in that game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Cincinnati's going to coach scared, right? All the pressure's on Alabama here.
Well,
So
too, Carter, in that game, as I'm sitting here looking at it, I mean, Brian Robinson had 16 carries, 55 yards, but those were the biggest 55 yards that I can remember in a long time.
Right.
You know, like that's how stats can lie to you sometimes. But I'm with you there.
I think Cincinnati keeps it close. I do. So once again, if you have a question for Blake, obviously there's a lot of Denbrock. I'll go on ahead and feed the troll here. Eric says Matt House and Mike Denbrock are terrible hires. Mike Denbrock is going to get blown out by Bama 50 points, and Matt House is a terrible defensive coordinator. So let's go to Van. What's up, Van? Good to see you. We have both of our first two guests in the chat tonight. Perkins Road could have had a new meaning.
That stinks.
How genius is that from Van? Like, I'm dead serious.
Well, that's why you win Oscars and Nobel Peace Prizes and stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
that's first class content, Carter.
Is that how did?
Mind blown.
If you want to talk about memes, it's one of those.
Right. Right. I feel like I just read a fortune cookie and I know exactly what just happened. You know, like it's like, damn, this impacted me pretty solid. Like this is a good fortune cookie, you know?
That is genius right there. So this is what we need to do. So Van and I, when Van was on our last chat, our last guest, we decided to give all the NIL money to Nuss so he can get knocked out in the bowl game and he be reincarnated like Joe Burrow did in the bowl game, right? So now, once again, Van just joined us. If somebody knows Harold Perkins, okay, just got another super chat from Max. If somebody knows Harold Perkins, if he wants to jump on the chat right now or no, put his face on the video, I will give him all my super chat money for tonight. So if someone knows Harold Perkins, Blake and I would love to talk to Harold Perkins and talk him into the huge NIL opportunities with Perkins Road, right?
Oh, dude. Tell him I'll give him $100 right here, Stone Cold Cash.
I will too. I will match the hundo. Once again, Harold Perkins does not have to come to LSU. This is not an NIL deal where he has to come to LSU.
Hey, Big Daddy, speak for yourself. If I'm paying him, it's for one reason and one reason only. I'm just letting it be known.
So here's the thing. Harold Perkins. Someone in this chat knows him. Someone in this chat knows him. Okay? Please tell Harold right now. I know he's at the Under Armour All-American game. Jump on the live chat now. He gets a hundo from Blake. He gets a hundo from me. And I'm giving him all the super chat money that I've had up to this point. Okay? So there you go. Look at what the Dolphins are doing right now, loading up the line, dropping freaking Ds out in coverage. The Dolphins do that more than anyone else. I saw a stat on this. 42 times versus the Ravens, they put 6 guys on the line of scrimmage. I love it. It wasn't the Saints' new age of defense. That's what House brings in. Van showing you some love.
I
Blake is
appreciate
funny AF. There you
I
go.
appreciate that.
Uh,
Thank you, Van.
I'm telling you, Perkins Road has a new.
It has a new meaning.
That's so good, man.
I might,
Roll.
we just had my son walk in here and interrupt the show. I might name him, I might change his middle name to Perkins.
Perkins.
Get him an NIL LSU deal.
So Harold Perkins, you're changing children's names. You're also going to have your own road. You're gonna have,
and we're renaming it for you.
Rename it for
you. We might even put an H in front of it. H Perkins Road.
H Perkins. This is your opportunity.
Like it's like we sound like we're in 1888. Like H.T. Perkins Road, boy.
So
Dr. Genovese Drive.
So Van gets to pick the next topic. Kim, you get to pick the next topic as well. Thank you for the super chat. Thanks again to Jared for always super chatting us. Harold Perkins sounds like a deacon at Pawpaw's church.
Oh God.
That's
Harold T. Perkins.
Harold, will you please go grab the offering, please?
Oh, brother Harold. Brother Harold, will you say grace before we eat? Oh shoot.
Where's my Kelly vibe?
Hey, I see Jonathan Rifkin in here too. He was one of the guys that we had on with AOIS with us. What's up, Jay Riff? He believe it or not, my good friend Rifkin just became one of the color analysts for ESPN for the the Big West Conference.
I saw you tweet out about that. That's really cool stuff right there. Congrats.
The dude can call a game, man. I mean, listen, he learned everything from being on the Are You Serious Sports Network. I mean, we got to get that through to everybody. But I'm really happy for our good friend Rifkin.
Rifkin, cheers to you, man. Congrats on you. Man.
Mine's empty, but oh well.
Get your little foot soldier in here. Hey, son, dear son of thine, please go make me another Sazerac, please.
Well, what would happen is that somehow he would have the cup in his hands, and my wife would come in here and beat my ass with a belt. Excuse my language, but she'd come in here and start swinging. I mean, look, you can't trust Italian women, Carter. They fight, and it's not pretty when they do it. They start swinging. It's not, look, man, I can't fight. Not my wife. No. I've seen her throwing hands. It's not fun.
Italian women,
bro.
Let's talk about the wide receiver rotation next year. Yeah, Blake, you know what's interesting? It could be a blessing in disguise that LSU had a weaker wide receiver crop because we know for sure next year that rotation is going to be tighter. But this is what's really fascinating because you and I have been talking about this nonstop about tightening the receiver rotation. What's interesting is LSU has been offering a lot of really good wide receivers in the portal. They offered the Jacob Cowan guy out of I don't remember.
UTEP.
Yeah, UTEP. He's a machine. I mean, I remember I saw a stat on Twitter somewhere that his high school numbers were cartoonish. So kind of a Jack Besh kind of guy, a guy that was just really underrated. He balls out and he's looking to,
I think his nickname was like 7-Eleven because he was open all the time.
And they offered another receiver in the portal.
The kid from Akron.
Very interesting. So obviously, as far as the wide receiver rotation, obviously Kayshawn's going to be your number one. It all depends, Blake, and I know Carvis, this is really something Carvis is really passionate about. It all depends on what and how Brian Kelly views the tight end position, because how he views Jack Besh, Blake, is going to go a long way with how the receivers will rotate in and out. Because look, if Brian Kelly wants traditional Michael Mayer, big body type of tight ends,
Kyle Rudolph.
Yeah, if he wants a traditional tight end, Jack's obviously not that. But I still think, knowing our depth at the tight end position, I still think Jack is going to be the same role that he's played up to this point, instead of just moving him to the slot receiver per se.
Right. Well, I agree with you from a rotation perspective. It could get a lot better. I don't like this whole rotating in and out like that, the way that they were doing last season. I thought that was kind of head scratching a little bit. Deion Smith was back on campus today, which is a little interesting. Kayshon Boutte Instagramming out that him and Deion Smith are hanging out at LSU football ops. So like what happens there? Look, I think that you have a lot of talented wide receivers. Wide receivers probably the only position group that I'm not necessarily too worried about, right? Like if they get good coaching, I still think you need to add some depth. But man, I mean, you don't always have to go and get 4 or 5, 5 receivers in your class. I would rather you get 5 offense or defensive linemen in the class than 5 wide receivers in the class. But I think that Kayshon Boutte, and you know what's something interesting? I don't know of a receiver outside of Will Fuller that Brian Kelly's ever coached that's as talented as Kayshon Boutte. And look, he played a lot in the slot, and then when he went to the NFL, they played a lot out in the X. And so he kind of flip-flopped. But when Brian Kelly was asked about that, I saw the interview. He goes, look, man, in college football, you put your best receiver in the slot. And so, I wonder how he's going to do some things. Look, they're going to have to go get another tight end, Carter. I'm sorry. Especially if he wants a physical running game, man, I don't know. I'm going to keep my words to myself on that. But, God, they were so bad at that position. At
No. I'll just say Cole Taylor can't move a soul. I mean, he gets ragdolled. It's just a truth. Now, once again, that's not the personal against Cole Taylor. But,
Carter, he's so bad at the point of attack.
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
now, like, what does Jack Mashburn do? But are you relying on Jack Mashburn? Oh, that's tough, man.
Yeah, and once again, that's not a slight at Cole Taylor. It's just it really sticks out, right? I had a coordinator text me saying, I don't know what they're doing there. I mean, so I think as far as the wide receiver rotation van is concerned, that's going to be the big question. How does BK view Jack Bash? Because he's your clear number 2, right? Just based on the production and the consistency he had. Obviously, BTJ has a higher ceiling as like a deep threat, Terrace Marshall type, and then Malik. So that's obviously going to be those 4. It also depends on what Jure decides to do. Does Jure hit the portal so he can be a number 1 or number 2 guy? Or does he stay at LSU and play out his eligibility? That's going to be something else that's going to happen. That obviously also comes down to, and this is another big thing, Blake, who that wide receiver coach actually will be, right?
Right.
That's key. Is wide receiver coach the most important position coach on the offensive side of the ball? No, I would argue that's the third. O-line and quarterback coach are probably your top 2.
Right.
But still, is Cortez Hankins still in the Georgia wide receiver coach in New Orleans? Is he still in consideration? Maybe he wants more power. Maybe he wants passing game coordinator title. Maybe he wants the Joe Brady role. Maybe he sees a higher ceiling for himself at LSU or more money. So once again, those are a lot of ifs, ands, or buts. There's a lot of coaches who have been rumored to be a part of the offensive staff that may or may not join the offensive staff. So I think, Van, that's going to be your clear-cut top 4. It's going to be Kayshon number 1, Jack number 2, BTJ number 3. Jack will probably start at tight end, and Malik will be your other option.
Well, look, and don't sleep on Landon Ibieta. I know I get so much crap behind Landon Ibieta. Okay, but I saw him and I love Jacoby Matthews more than anybody. I saw him put Jacoby Matthews in a blender and shake it up like it's Smoothie King. He put Jacoby Matthews, and I told Jacoby, I'm like, look, man, what happened tonight? You know, when Mandeville played Ponchatoula, and he goes, bro, that dude's good. Laser time 4.45. The kid can play. I think that there's some specifics. Look, I'm going to leave that one alone. But I'll tell you this: Landon Ibieta, they were told that they had no idea how he wasn't offered. So just going to.
All right, so let's do this. All right, before we get into our Cordell Flott question, let's do this for everyone. Okay, who will finish with the best college career? Okay, I want everyone to type out of these names. Who will finish with the best college career? Malik Neighbors, Jack Besh, BTJ, or Deion Smith? Everyone just type, just right now in the chat, who will finish with the best college career. I'll even make that the poll question here for Sir Van Lathan.
I'm putting my own in the chat. There, Carter. I don't know. I actually just typed in all of them, just so you can pick. so if I'm right, I could always just come back and say that I'm right.
Yeah, you just put all of them out there.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's interesting. Brian Thomas Jr.'s got some wiggle to him, which I didn't realize how much wiggle he had in him. Brother, these guys got to learn to catch.
Right.
They're so bad at times at just receiving the ball. I feel like this should be we should all watch the movie The Mighty Ducks when they're receiving the egg. You ever watch the Mighty Ducks, Carter? I know you have. And they're receiving the egg from acting like it's the puck, and you receive it. You don't catch the egg. I feel like that's what some of these receivers need to do. Receive the ball. You're called a receiver. You're not called a catcher. I mean, like, God, dog, they're so bad sometimes. I'm sorry I go out and rant sometimes, but I think about the BTJ slant against Alabama, and it hits him right in the forehead, and he just, he misses it. And he's got no one around him. That's the kind of stuff that drives me nuts.
All right, so the poll question is officially up, and we will let you make your conversation known. What's up, Danny? She's a new member of the Booger Band Club. Shout out to Mark, also a new member of the Booger Band Club. Eric, I've just got to block you, man. You're trolling too much, man. You're trolling really hard tonight, and that's fine. I can handle a troll every now and then, but I'm blocking you again, my friend. I'm sorry. Carter says Deion Smith. There you go.
If he comes back now, he was on campus today, but I don't know what that means though. Carter.
big say so. Jack Besh is on pace to being the greatest white wide receiver.
All right, I'm going to say this, Carter.
I don't know. You got to beat Tim.
Carter, I'm going to say this. You know why Landon Ibieta's a 3-star?
Why?
Because he's white.
Because he's white. Well, that's the reason why
There's nobody.
That was the reason why Jack was underrated.
There's a reason why none of these dudes in recruiting that make these rankings went and watched him play. I asked Hutch Gonzalez, his head coach. He goes, the only person that came to watch him play was Jimmy Smith from Tiger Details.
Okay.
So anyway,
no, I've never understood the Jack Besh thing. Like,
brother, could you have imagined that man at Vanderbilt?
I think about it all the time.
I do too. God, I do too. Could you have imagined that kid at Vanderbilt?
So when I first watched Jack Besh's tape, right? So, he had the big game against Catholic High his senior year. And I was like, whoa, this is – because I had not watched him really.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, okay, let me watch it. I'm not the best evaluator in the world. I try my best. And I was like, this guy is truly unreal. Like, I was like, this is crazy how good he is. And I was like, please offer him. Please freaking offer him. And that's one of the few things I've ever been just 1,000% right about. It's like, oh my goodness. I still think Jack Best is going to be the best. I do. I think BTJ, his contested catch ability is really good, right? He had that catch versus Ole Miss that was incredible. Had a few 50-50 balls. One against Arkansas, I thought he could have brought down. Um, I would say BTJ or Besh, but still, I love all of it. I've never been more excited about. I'll say this: it is by far the most excited I am about any position group on this team, the wide receiver group. I like Malik a lot as well. Once again, it goes back to what you were saying: catching, being consistent, the 10,000 catch thing. But at the same time, I kept trying to remind myself, like, Malik didn't play at all last year. I was like, my goodness, he didn't get. I'm talking about like his senior year of high school. He didn't get the play. So drops, rust, all that stuff is going to happen. Van Super Chats here talk about the running back room. Once again, it's one of those big what ifs, Blake. Let me ask you this. John Emery decides I'm not returning. Let's take John Emery out of the equation. We'll talk about John in a second. Who is your RB1 going into next year with John Emery out of the picture? And let's just say TDP's out of the picture as well.
He's not on your roster yet.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Juicy.
Yeah, well,
juicy.
No, I like Corey Kiner more than the rest of them, but I look at every Brian Kelly back when I watch Notre Dame film. They're about 5'11", 5'10", maybe 6 foot, 215, and they got some wheels on them, Carter. You better be able to run if you're a running back for Brian Kelly. I think Corey Kiner is a really, really good back. I just don't think he fits the style of offense we've seen from Brian Kelly. Now,
interesting.
You know whose offense he does fit really well? Like Denbrock's. So, it's funny. It's funny for me. He just doesn't have it doesn't seem like he can break away. He's got to get a little bit quicker. He's got to decide his holes a little bit better. I just don't know if he's there yet. I feel like he's a year away, honestly, Carter, from really breaking out. Now, some will say it's because of the offensive line. Well, Carter, I sit back and say, when you have 145 yards rushing per game from Auburn into the end of the season, at some point you got to stop blaming the offensive line. Now, a lot of people say that I'm a homer, but then I look and say 145 yards per game on the ground in the SEC. Hush your mouth, because at some point you got to make that jump. There's nothing more frustrating to me when everybody blames the O-line for a running back missing a hole. Drives me manure when it happens. It drives me nuts. Like, I remember when we were sitting in a film room, Carter, and I got blamed for going the wrong way. And I'm like, Coach, it's a 33 zone. He goes, no, it's not. It's a 32 zone. Ducksworth went right. I'm like, then why did the entire offensive line go left? The offensive line always gets blamed for everything. And we saw TDP go off. Seriously. So we did see him go off in the later part of the season. Why didn't Corey? Why didn't Corey have those flashes at that time where TDP was? Now, you can make the argument that every time he was in, they were handing him the ball. And I think teams picked up on that. But I want to see more from him. He's going to have a big year. Here's another thing. I don't trust Amari Goodwin's health right now.
I don't either. That was man. When I watched both of them and I evaluated both of them, I was like, Goodwin is better than Kiner.
Correct.
I was like, he's
no question.
But Goodwin did not have juice this year.
Not at all.
He was not ready.
Carter, we were at practice, and Kevin Falk was screaming at him because he was lollygagging through a drill. And I started giggling, and Goodwin kind of looked at me funny. And I'm like, bro, I'm not the media member. Okay, like you can laugh at some one of these other ones, like you're loafing, and Kevin gets and Carter. Do you remember the wheel route he ran against Alabama, and they took him out of the game because he stopped running? I don't know, man. He's not on the same. You know who I would go after? I swear to sweet baby Jesus, Logan Diggs. There you
All
go.
right. So we got Ed commenting about Logan
Do it.
Diggs right here. I think
Ed
he's,
Orgeron wanted him to be a backer, by the way.
yeah, I think a good policy is if you're a 3-star Rummel, you should just take every Rummel kid, right? From
No
this
doubt.
uh, yeah, I know it's a little bit easier with revisionist history to say, okay, Logan Diggs is better because he had a better year, really good true freshman year. Man, I was blown away by Goodwin. I was really blown away by his high school tape, in large part because he ran out of shotgun, which of course fit what LSU wanted to do offensively. You got to be able to run out of shotgun. That's something, that wasn't TDP's strength coming out, right? So when I watched Goodwin this year, it didn't look like he had his same juice, right? It didn't look like he
Not
had
at
the same
all.
burst. And it sucked because his first carry, he got rolled up on really bad. So a lot of it was bad injury luck. Sometimes though, you just don't get that same juice back. You don't get that same burst. So I give Goodwin another year. Someone that's not been brought up at all is Kavontre Bradford. I mean, I don't know what the heck is even going on with that.
Yeah, it's funny. I forget about him sometimes, Carter. Honestly, but look, I think that Brian Kelly has a specific type of back, and he doesn't play freshmen a lot, right? Like he just doesn't play freshmen a lot. And for like a guy like Logan Diggs to come in and play, it's kind of magical. Look, you got to be a true one cut back to play in this offense that we're about to run. You got to put your foot in the ground, and you got to go north and south. There's none of this east west, but you got to have elite speed in doing it. Go watch the Clemson. Carter, I implore everybody that's watching us right now to go watch Clemson Notre Dame, the first game of 2020, and go watch the running backs, and even in the playoff game versus Alabama. Carter, I'm sorry. Everybody says Alabama blew out Notre Dame, and I get what the final score was. You better go rewatch that game because they were physical up front. I just don't think that they had the horses or the quarterback to actually win that game. But my God, did they always seem to find just really good backs, man. And none of the backs that are on this roster right now remind me of that. They're not physical enough. They're not fast enough. They don't catch the ball well. They don't pass block well. I hate to say it, brother. They just don't right now. Here's a great thing, though, Carter. Here's a great thing. How much of that's coaching? Big Daddy Frank Wilson's back, baby. Thank you, sweet mother of God.
Well, yeah, Jay Hill. Jay Hill was in there earlier, and of course, he's going to be the most excited out of any of us.
God.
That Frank Wilson's back. And look, some of it, everyone in here loves Kev Falk, right?
Love him to death.
His Sports Illustrated magazine is back there, right? But this was his first time ever being a running back coach, right? And Frank Wilson is the best running back coach the school has ever had, and it's not close, right? So maybe that helps these guys unlock their potential. And the good thing, Van, about running back is you only need one to become elite. Now you need backups. You need guys that can come in and give you.
You need a Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, you just need one to hit that ceiling, right?
Uh-huh.
So you have Bradford, who was a top 154 star. You have Kiner, who was a top 154 star. Goodwin was a top 100 4-star. You just need one, right? You just need one. But what's very interesting about this, Blake, and this is why I like you so much, is that there are so many 3-star backs that you see actually end up being that guy, right? So, like a really good running back is Deuce Vaughn of Kansas State, lower tier 3-star. Obviously, Kenneth Walker was very underrated coming out, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and the list goes on and on. You just need one. It doesn't matter where they come from. It doesn't matter their recruiting background. It doesn't matter any of it. You just need one. Now, let's bring in John Emery into this conversation.
John Emery started day one.
So if he's in the picture, you think he's that dude?
Because of the offense that you're trying to run, yes. Here's a good thing about what Brian Kelly and Brad Davis are going to employ. You're never going to ever have to worry about zone blocking schemes, ever. Carter, I have never seen an offensive line in the SEC so poor at zone blocking schemes than the 2020 offensive line, ever.
Oh.
Ever. It was horrendous. 2021, they got so much better. They were great at it in 2019. I think John Emery, if his potential's unlocked, it fits the Brian Kelly mold of what they want to do. I feel like I'm getting a platinum trading card, and this is Pokemon, and I got to slap it down like unlock John Emery. Like that's what I feel. I'm not giving up on John Emery yet. I know people say I have a blind allegiance to him. I'm just not giving up on him yet. I see too many flashes of him doing good things. Here's the thing. His football IQ's got to get better, though, Carter.
Yeah.
It just has to. So if it does – see, here's the crazy thing about John Emery. When he knows what to do, God dang, is he elite.
Yeah,
he's elite. When he knows what to do, it's kind of scary. So we'll see.
All right, so two things about John Emery that concern me. In life, the worst type of friend is the one that you think is a good friend, but never actually shows up for you when you really need them, right? So up to this point in the career, whatever the excuse may be, and John Emery's had a lot of unfortunate things happen to him in his career, right? He should have been eligible. Screw all this academic crap. They should have just let him play, right? Last year was a disaster, whatever. Still, your best ability, Blake, you say this all the time on your channel, is availability.
No question.
So that's the first thing, right? It does concern me a little bit. The second thing is pass protection. We did a full film study on this. Once again, ask any running back now, especially if you look at the analytics, a pass is a far more productive play than a run. So you can argue that it's more important for a running back to be not good at pass blocking, just reliable. And Emery is not reliable. He will blow a lot of pass blocking assignments. And you have no idea. And this is why it's important. I know it sounds like a broken record, but I wish coordinators were made available to talk to the media, because a coordinator can share this with you. It's not just the fact that you blow an assignment. It's just you as a play caller and you as a quarterback always have that in the back of your mind, that the running back could run the opposite way when it comes to pass protection, especially if you're going to do slide protections and all that. So pass protection is obviously the second thing.
By the way, slide protections are for idiotic, dumb high school coaches. Continue.
Right. Exactly. So the third thing is John Emery has never had a real meaningful snap in a close game.
Never.
Right? Never. All right. So 3 years he's been at LSU. Obviously, he wasn't there all last year, was third string in 2019. Then in 2020, even in the games that were competitive, he was either hurt or TDP was the guy. It's something to be said. Some people, until they're actually in that moment, aren't those same type of players, right? So it takes someone like, obviously, the best at this was Jacob Hester. When the pressure was at its highest, he took it to another level. Stephen Ridley was like that as well. Now, are they a Gary McFadden all-time level great? No. But in crunch time, they were as good as a daggum gets. And it's different when the game is on the line, fighting for that extra yard and getting a crunch time short yardage carry. That is what concerns me as well, because it is mentally exhausting as a running back, knowing that on those and short situations, you got to make some big time decisions, right? And Brian Kelly, when it's third and short and it's fourth and short, he's going to want to run the football in those situations. And every cut, every last little movement, you being able to fall forward for that extra yard, all those things are very important. And in a 3-year sample, once again, if you're at Destrehan, you're running past everyone for 60-yard touchdowns. You don't have to worry about those types of runs. Those and Jay Hill, I wish he was still in the chat right now. He would tell you this right now. You got to be a dog. Like, there is a certain talent to doing those types of crunch time runs. So that's another concern for me about John Emery.
Well, and what's funny is why are you allowing him to be in there on pass downs and he's blocking anyway?
Right.
Like that's more stupid than anything. But I digress.
I got $20 and Emery will not start a game next year after the 4th game next year.
Very possible.
It's possible. And once again,
look, if you can go get a Kenneth Walker in the portal, Carter, you can do it.
So are you one to go for Zach Evans?
How much time you got?
Go on ahead. His recruitment was the most fascinating. He had, because every year there's always a story about a 5-star, right? His recruitment put Ed Orgeron in a tizzy, and that wasn't Orgeron's fault, right? It was pretty clear Zach Evans was a transcendent talent, but this man has had an adventurous career up to this point.
No, I don't think him and Brian Kelly would mesh well.
Yeah.
No.
What about
he's had runs where he looks like a first-round back, though, doesn't he? God,
he's a real deal. He can really play. He can really, really, really play.
I really just want to strangle him and say, dude, stop it. Like you're about to you're giving away millions every time you open your mouth. Anyway, by the way, on your coordinator being available to the media.
Yeah, go ahead.
Got some news for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
People got on SID Michael Barnett that Brian Kelly allowed his coordinators to be available to the media, and if they don't allow the coordinators available to the media during the regular season, that's on Michael Barnett, and he got as red as this marker when the media was getting on him. So it's like, don't do it, Barnett. I was telling you, don't do it. You better allow him to be in there. Just let you know.
Yeah, I love when coordinators.
I would have look, I don't go in these press conferences. I honestly hate them. Let a coordinator come up in there and see if I don't rip somebody's ass. I'm serious. God forbid Jake Peace was available to the media last year, Carter. God forbid.
Well, we needed it. We needed him. Him and Durante. I would have loved to have seen them in out of any year. Last year was a year where we really needed it because there's so many questions about how the play calling actually happened. I still don't think anyone really knows how play calls actually happen.
I don't think Ed Orgeron knew what was happening.
I honestly don't. I really don't. I just think, man, I don't know.
How bad is that? You know what that goes to me, Carter, is that LSU wakes up in the morning and rolls out of bed and has 6 wins.
Right.
That's what it really means. Anyway.
Yeah, thank goodness for
Joe Burrow. God bless his soul. If Joe Burrow ever needed me for anything, I swear to God, I'd leave right now and go do it.
I would too.
Hey, if you have a signed Joe Burrow card, I'll buy it from you.
They're too expensive.
When's your birthday, Carter?
It's coming up in a few weeks, man. It's in a few weeks. But I would not.
What's the day?
It's January 23rd. But so I bought one a few weeks ago, knowing that he was going to have a strong end to the season. And the only reason I bought it was because from my football card knowledge and from my football card podcast that I do, every chart that we do on that podcast showed that Joe Burrow's prices were about to soar. So I went ahead and bought it when they were still at their cheapest. So don't even do that. It's not worth it. It's just not. There's so many autographs out there. And this is when the prices are at its highest because legit, Joe Burrow was the number one selling sports card on eBay in the world, more than Jordan, more than anyone else this past weekend. So it goes to show you how big of a deal it was. And here's the thing, Chris, I do not have a signed Joe Burrow card. I have one in the mail, but yes, they are ungodly expensive. However, you have Jay Hill autograph cards. How about that, man?
I like it. Speaking of speaking of quarterbacks, that's the main topic we haven't really talked about tonight, Carter.
I know, right? What's on your mind, my friend?
They got to go get another quarterback, brother. I'm sorry. I understand it. I know everybody's talking about Walker Howard. Here's my spiel, and I'm going to always stick to it. Do you realize how difficult it is to start as a true freshman in a Power 5 conference?
It's really hard.
Okay, it literally is the toughest thing that you can do. With that being said, I don't trust Miles Brennan to stay healthy for Florida State. I just don't. If he does,
for Florida State, as in, like, you don't think he's going to be able to stay healthy for?
No, Carter. No, I don't. I hope he proves me wrong. I just don't know if he makes it. And look, if he does he make it to Mississippi State? You know, like, I don't know, man. I think that you're asking for a world of trouble if you're throwing in Walker Howard week 6. Because look, that means Nuss leaves probably. All right, and you're back at square one. Carter, who's our 2023 quarterback right now that we have? I mean, we don't have one yet. And normally you start getting those guys committing.
That's true at this point. Yeah, you're right.
Right. And so if you don't get one now, and especially a guy that commits, then what do you do? So I really like Miles Brennan as a human being. I don't like him as a future NFL or future quarterback for LSU. I just don't.
Welcome to the channel, Black Ice 4040. I love what we have going on here. We got the purple shirt. Can you see this, Blake?
I can see him.
We got the purple shirt. He's got the ride. What kind of ride are we rocking with in the back right here? Looks like
I don't know, but it looks like a convertible.
Look at that. Black Ice 4040. I like it, man.
My man got them clean white G Nikes on.
So that's the thing. Keeping them clean, baby.
I told you before the show, man. I'm a sneakerhead, man. I don't rock them J's, but I know some shoes.
I want to know if he picked up any honeys in that thing right there, man. I see you, Black Ice. I see you. Yeah, Joe Burrow beats Patrick Mahomes this weekend, Nick. Convertible Mustang. There we go. I like it. All right, so.
Oh, that's Big Pressure. That's Lamar Williams. Lamar, is that you?
Oh, his name's Big Pressure?
Big Pressure. He's the reason I recognize is because he's in our chat. Big Pressure. He always starts the show with Big Pressure in the building.
So you can't have two awesome nicknames, right? You can't be Black Ice and
I'm going to go with Big Pressure. That's what he always
It sounds better. Big Pressure 88. Let's go to Van again. Van, our top super chatter tonight, along with Jared and Mark. If Miles can't play next year, the season is ruined. He has to stay healthy. So
gotta put him in bubble wrap.
That's the thing. I trust Miles Brennan to stay healthy, at least for the season opener, right?
My man tripped over a flip flop, Carter. I mean,
here's something else, right? So I like Miles Brennan a lot, and his 3 games were nothing short of incredible. With that said, okay, Miles was playing with Terrace Marshall at his absolute peak. I think we tend to forget how good Terrace was to start 2020.
Right.
He made a touchdown catch versus Vanderbilt that was very underrated, where Miles telegraphed the heck out of it, and it should have been picked off. But in midair, Terrace Marshall was able to get in front of the safety at the very last second. It was actually one of the more incredible red zone touchdown catches I've seen an LSU player make, because you got to make a business decision cutting off a safety like that, because you can get your career ended, especially if you're getting stared down like that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if you go back and look at Miles Brennan's performances, right? So it was a 3-game sample where, once again, there weren't any elite defenses in that 3-game sample. Mississippi State's defense turned out to be somewhat good, but still, that 3-game sample obviously was good. So you got 2 70-plus QBR performances in there. But at the same time, Blake, I went back and I rewatched it. I was like, there's so many throws where Miles didn't have to go to a second read, because Eric Gilbert was playing really well at the time. Terrace Marshall was playing unbelievable at the time. Now, the throws were incredible, but eventually, if you're a pocket quarterback, you want to see that head go boom, boom, go to the second read. And also, the Mississippi State game was very concerning. He didn't have any help from his defense. Once again, Chasen Hines cost us a lot of points in that game. But at the same time, Miles missed some gimme throws in that game. And I know it was his first start, but he missed some throws that you have to be able to make, especially, once again, if you're a pocket quarterback. So, Blake, to add to your point, on top of Miles Brennan's health, how good is Miles Brennan in your mind?
Average to below average quarterback with a bazooka type of an arm.
Interesting.
I don't care that he dropped back against Missouri 54 times and threw for 430 yards and a couple of scores. That doesn't – Carter, if you're dropping back 54 times, you better throw it for 400 yards. You better, because that's lower than 10 yards of completion. Okay, so look, when he goes 0 for 10, 1 for 10, and 2 for 10 on third downs means to tell me that you don't know what you're looking at.
Right.
Okay, when you're doing that against Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, Missouri, who are running complete cover 3 zone coverages, and you don't know what you're looking at, Carter, I have a problem. I wish my wife were here right now against Missouri. The last drive, I swear to God, Carter, on my life, I remember it like it's yesterday. I said, all right, they're running a cover 3. And then who's Rodgers' brother? Aaron Rodgers' brother. What's his first name?
Jordan.
Jordan Rodgers.
They don't talk anymore. So
oh, well, look, brothers fight, So Jordan Rodgers comes out and goes, look, here comes a cover 3. And my wife looks at me and go, how is my big ass that's never thrown a pass in collegiate football knows that they're running a cover 3 and he doesn't know it? And it's third and 4, and you go 0 for 10 on third down.
Right.
He's been here for too long not to understand systems. The best thing about Brett Favre was you remember that Doug Peterson rant where he was like, somebody asked me about, or I had asked Doug Peterson, what's a dime and nickel coverage? They're like, well, they'll run a linebacker in and run a line, DB out. And he goes, wait, that's it? Okay. He didn't even know. And so you don't have to be a complete scientist to be really good at your job sometimes, especially if someone's in zone coverage. I like Miles Brennan. Again, I like him. I think he's an average, but can be a below average quarterback. Carter, he was dead last in the entire country on third down passing efficiency in the 3 starts. Dead last.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Okay? So when I sit back here and say that third down's the money down, well, your quarterback was dead last. Hey, you know who wasn't dead last? TJ. Oh, and by the way, our buddy at SEC StatCat, everybody said, oh, Miles doesn't have time in the pocket. He was the number 1 quarterback in the SEC at time in the pocket to throw the football.
Right.
Don't give me that he's got 4 point. Carter, the man had 4.2 seconds per average to sit in the pocket and throw the ball. 0.2. I'm a big ass dude. I could have made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and cut it in half and start eating it by the time he could have thrown it.
Peanut butter and jelly. I'm going to judge you for how basic that is.
Dude, don't be judging on peanut butter and jelly.
That's too basic. Blake, you're such
I don't care. I love me a PB&J, dog.
I might have to end the stream now. That's just the most basic thing in the world.
Well, as some.
Let me guess. You drank it with the good cup of Coca-Cola.
Oh no, sir. No, sir. Give me some milk, and that baby, and give me either some sour cream and onion chips. Give me some Cheetos, dog. I will.
How do you wash all that down? Next thing you know, you're eating a Popeye's biscuit and you're clogged up for the rest of your life. Like, how do you wash?
First off, I got forearms bigger than Thanos, so that's how PB&J works around this house.
How does that? How do you? That is thick. That is.
Brother, I'm a thick dude, son. Like, I mean, brother, that's thick. Big Daddy, I'm a thick dude. Speaking of that, I hadn't eaten supper yet. I'm about to go make me a PB&J on.
We haven't eaten. You don't eat before the streams?
Can't do it. Can't do it. I'll throw up.
Amateur hour, man. You knew we were going to go long. You knew our last two guests.
Well, I just can't do. I mean, brother, I can't do it.
If you have to go, you can go. We still have 278 people in here.
No, I'm good. Look, I'm Gucci. I can miss the next 52 weeks. I could miss dinner every night, and I'd still be healthy. That's how big of a dude I am.
I still don't understand how there's 276 people in here now that doesn't have any contact with Harold Perkins. Once again, Harold Perkins. Even if he hangs out for a few minutes, he gets $100 from Blake. He gets $100 from me. He gets all the super.
Listen, if he comes in here with the next 10 minutes, I swear to God, I'll give him 200.
200 in the next 10? Someone in here knows Funk. Someone in here knows Harold Perkins.
Yeah, they think I'm playing. I'll NIL this. I'll NIL this shit right up and put a bow on that son of a gun. I don't care. The man's going to come to LSU if I have anything to say about it. I mean, look, I don't know how much $200 goes, but
cashew butter with apple jelly.
I don't know about that, man. I feel like
Ulysses.
Look, Ulysses. I don't know about that. Oh, Van, I'm sorry, man, but it's just the truth. Hey, my brother Big Precious says shit, I'll match his 200. Look, man, y'all better be tweeting at this dude.
Harold will be here for a little bit. I know he's hanging out with all his 5-star buddies.
Hey, and as my granddaddy once told me, Carter, if they ain't paying you, they ain't your friends right now.
Van matches.
I really want a PB&J right now, dog.
Well, tell Miss Gorgeous Italian Ruffino to get this to get it going.
No shot.
Let me before we get into another topic, you never got to tell your story, right? Because whenever you jump on and do your stream and you do your thing, people don't know the behind the scenes of Are You Serious? So like we did with Van, we got to know his backstory of taking a leap of faith and going to LA and doing what he's accomplished, right? Talked about that with Jeremy Hill. Jeremy Hill in our interview, it is linked down below if you want to see it. He shared the story that Jay Hill said that they were trying to get him to redshirt in 2012. And he said he bet on himself, even though he was running back number 5. And they were saying, you should redshirt. He said, no, I want to play this year. I believe in myself. So we want to get to know more about you, Blake. How did you start? What made you want to take this leap? Because you didn't have an immediate background before you actually started doing this.
Yeah, so funny story. We were in high school, Carter, and every Thursday night and Friday morning, we would go through the offensive game plan. Okay. And Jimbo Fisher was still the offensive coordinator at LSU during this time, and then was about to go to Florida State. Okay. So our running back, his name was Charlie Lester, and he won't mind me saying this, was Charlie Lester. Shout out to Franklinton High School. And very good baseball player, but a very and I don't use this word lightly, a very elite running back. Like we've had Brandon Taylor, Terrence McGee. We've had a lot of good running backs / quarterbacks that have come out of Franklinton. Them two guys being one of them. Charlie Lester was another one. Well, we're going through this game plan, and we're playing a meet. And A Meat had just won the state championship. Down career, had won multiple state titles, and the entire running back room didn't know what to do on what we called 600 personnel and running screens. So I absolutely lost it. Okay. And when I mean I lost it, I told them where they needed to be, how they needed to run the screen, the depth that they needed to run the screen at. And everybody kind of looked at me, and I'm like yelling. I'm like, Amy likes to run this 4-2-5. They like to blitz a lot. So you're going to need to chip the defensive end because of our quarterback situation, and then you're going to need to go out. The coaching staff stopped, okay, and I got the name Jimbo, all right, for Jimbo Fisher, because I was kind of always more of an X's and O's kind of, look, I can see it. I know it. Brother, I picked up a playbook and read it. That's all I did. Fast forward, go through Southeastern, kind of the same deal. Wanted to be a GA there. Man, I got into the coaching thing for a little bit, and I got to be honest, I hated it. Like, absolutely hated it. Don't want to call 18-year-olds. Don't like the hours. Hated the pay at the time. Now I wish I would have stayed, and I wish I would have won a couple of national titles and then got fired so I could get a massive buyout.
Wow.
Right. So then one day I was listening to a guy at a conference and the job that I was doing at the time. And look, I had built up a good sourcing platform, and Carter, you know this, but to tell others, at the current job that I was at, I was around a lot of guys that worked at football ops, got to know them really well. We go to lunch sometimes, and long story short, I'm like, listen, I told one of the guys at the football ops, I'm like, listen, you're going to have to stop going to lunch with me because I'm about to start doing a podcast. All right. And so he's like, why would I do that? You pay for lunch every week. So it was kind of funny. So believe it or not, I got some information that Dave Aranda was not leaving and going to Texas A&M. Carter, 3 days before, I started Are You Serious Sports. Dude, and you know this, Carter, as well as anybody. I put sources. I like researched this on how to do it. I had no clue. All right. I'm like, I'm just going to run it out there. Got it confirmed, and it was true. It actually happened. He didn't go to Texas A&M. He stayed here.
Nice.
Well, then when all this kind of stuff happened, it just kind of started building from there. And then, some things happened. And we kind of just built it. And look, man, I'm just me. And that's how I got here and just built friendships over a long period of time. And kind of like how me and you talked in the opening of the show. Like, dude, this is like our conversation kind of somewhat when we're sitting on the phone for an hour.
Right.
Like, that's just how I am with everybody. And I don't like going into the news as much as I used to now because we have the show. I like to tell, hey, this is what I'm hearing. This might happen. We'll come back and then we'll assess. But I just love football. And look, I grew up loving LSU. It was my first love from a football aspect. Was never good enough to play. And Carter, I tell my listeners this. I'll tell all yours. I was not good at all. I know I wasn't. Don't let the collegiate shit fool you. I just wasn't, I wasn't good. And so, but I always loved LSU, and I'm going to continue to love it. And I just love watching football. My wife makes fun of me, Carter. I watch film of teams. Like sometimes I'll get like a coach's copy. I have a good friend at Arkansas, and I'll get a coach's copy of a game or something. And she'll like, why aren't you watching anything else but football? I'm like, babe, this isn't work for me. This is fun. And she makes fun of me. So anyway, that's pretty much kind of how Are You Serious Sports came. We kind of broke some stories somewhat. And I don't know. We started the podcast, and it's pretty much it, man.
Yeah, I was terrible too. I had like a few pass rush moves, and that was it. And I was like, yeah, this isn't going anywhere. So when I was a freshman at LSU, I walked to the football ops building 3 times, and I never mustered up the courage to walk in there to say, "Can I walk on? Is there something I could do?" I did it 3 separate times because I was, I'd grown up in Arkansas and I didn't have any friends there, so I was like, why not? Let's just go in. And every single time I walked up there, I got up to the door. One time I got up to the door, but I would walk all the way there from my dorm. I didn't have a car. I just
Uh,
I was too scared. And, I was walking back the final time and I was like, why in the world would they want a 5'7", 190-pound defensive tackle anyway? So I was like, I've always wanted to do the media stuff, right? And it's one of those things where, like, you have these amazing stories of like walk-ons and all that stuff. But more often than not, there's people like you and I where we're just like, okay, we're not good enough, but we want to talk about this stuff.
mm-hmm.
And we really put a lot of passion into it, and you definitely do as well. So you've had all this success. Uh, what are some things you would like to accomplish as you move forward? Once again, I'll always come on your show and all that stuff. But
Vice
what,
versa, brother.
yeah, what is it that what makes you want to get up and do this every single day now, on top of what you do as a full-time job?
Well, look, when I went against Fletcher Cox, who's in the NFL now against Mississippi State, I realized I wasn't good enough. And he broke my chest muscles, like all of them, but after one snap. Man, what gets me up in the morning, I want to do this full time. Like I want to take this to places. It's not necessarily like I want to be I think football teaches you things. I think sports teaches you things. Like I wake up in the morning, like I'm competitive, but I'm a good competitive. Like I started a channel with zero listeners, like just like you did, and we've grown it. And I'm competitive and I want to talk about it and I'm passionate about it. And luckily there's, LSU has a lot of passionate fans and business owners and people that want to help and get to know you. And so ultimately, I want to, once we take this completely full time, get into a real big studio here locally. Maybe
Cool.
bring some other shows on. That's why we call it the network. Now I'm the only person on the network,
Huh?
but maybe bringing some other shows on and going that route. But like Jonathan Rifkin, who was in here earlier, he was on our network, and now he's calling the Big West for ESPN.
That's big time right there.
Right. So that's just something that we want to do. And I tell people all the time, look, if you want to start a podcast and you have the heart and courage and and see, here's another thing, Carter, you went out and paid for some stuff, so it actually sounds reasonable. You got to have the will to want to do it. And look, you need a very loving wife. I have a son, I have a wife and a family, and she's very lenient with me when it comes to this, but she saw it when I was getting a phone call from LSU football ops getting told to take down a post, and I'm saying no. And she knows the kind of stuff that we put into this kind of stuff. So you just got to have a lot of loving people, man.
Absolutely. So here's what we're gonna do. Once again, we're part of the Booger Band Club. Always rocking it, baby. We already gave out an autograph card earlier. Mark's gonna get an autographed LSU card. So once again, 1 for 15, 2 for 20, 3 for 25. But I do recommend the 3 for 25 because we also include some really cool cards. The next 2 people that get the 3 for 25 deal, I do have this bad boy right here. This will be a part of your next order. This is a gold hollow Tyrann Mathieu from this year's set. So the next 2 people, I got 2 of these right here. The next 2 people, boom, you're getting that gold hollow Tyrann Mathieu. I'll throw Justin Jefferson cards in there. So So yeah, 200 away from 6,000 subscribers. Um,
That's awesome, bro.
we're just growing, baby. We're just growing. You know what's interesting, Blake? I find this. I find the LSU media sphere very weird, right? So I used to do the press conferencing. I used to go to every single one for like 5 or so years. I miss it sometimes, but for the most part, this stuff is just so awesome. Like it's just crazy to me that there's 272 people in here hanging out with us. I
Right,
just find
right.
it so cool, and it's wild because this has been our lowest point. There's a lot of uncertainty, and there's still all these LSU fans. And look, I've been around Arkansas media a lot. I've been around other SEC medias. I've gone to SEC media days a ton, and I've had other people from different fan bases say, you guys have it so good at LSU, right? You have this iconic brand. Everybody loves the food. They love the culture. They love the iconic players. I just don't think I would have as much fun if I was a fan of another team. Once again, I know I'm just zeroed in on LSU, but we're discussing this with Van not too long ago because Van is more in the national circle and he's around different fan bases more often than me or you. But there
Uh-huh.
is this jealousy. I really do feel this in my heart of hearts that people hate us because they ain't us. I
I
really do believe that.
I like it. Well, yeah, and look, I've had my run-ins with the media. One thing, Carter, that today's society is teaching us is today's media can be a whole bunch of different things. They could get news and info from you. They can get it from me. They could get it from a lot of
Right?
different people that have different takes. And sometimes when you ruffle the establishment fights back. And the thing that Carter, I'm a bigger dude, right? Physically like a bigger dude. And I walk in those press conferences and I look at some of these guys and I'm like, look, man, I'm just trying to do me. Like back off. And they're like, and so look, I just want to talk about LSU. Let me talk about and do and build what I want to do. And so, but yeah, it's great to talk about LSU. I love it.
Let's go to Danielle here, fan of both of our channels. We have to fight over Danielle's attention, right? Danielle's one of the best, the absolute best. She wants to ask Blake, why is there so much animosity between the media peeps, Moscona, and Colada? So this would be the first thing, all right? And I'm Danielle, you don't do this, but a lot of people do this, right? The one thing I don't like is when people jump into my chat room or into my video and they talk about their beef with another LSU media member. What am I supposed to do about that? Right? I've never understood that. Okay. The second thing is I don't know the answer to this because I'm not really around those guys all that much. Obviously, I have a lot of close friends in the LSU media. Uh, you know, obviously you and Jay Hill have become my two closest. But I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know why.
Well, I
That
think I think it's more me, Carter, because look, I'll just be honest. I call people out for their BS. Let me give a prime example. Ed Orgeron should have been fired for being a coach. Ed Orgeron should have never been fired for the Sharon Lewis RICO lawsuit. Okay, and I remember before this season when people were calling for Ed Orgeron to be fired because of the Title IX lawsuit. Well, Carter, I've been in investigations before, okay? And that's as much as I'm going to say about that part. What I will say, though, is you got to be careful before you throw the first stone and get all the facts before you start throwing those stones because Sharon Lewis's RICO lawsuit case got thrown out. Did anybody know that, by the way? See, here's the thing with the media that I have an issue with, and our media in particular, is the fear mongering. Why is nobody talking about Sharon Lewis's RICO case being kicked out of court? Carter, have you talked about it? I don't mean this in the wrong way. Have you talked about it? No.
I don't get into that kind of stuff
And
really.
that and look, that's completely fine, right?
Yeah.
Like we can you can do this is your channel. We can do whatever we want to do. the problem that I think that there comes is fire Ed Orgeron because he's in a Title IX lawsuit. You can't go firing and arresting people for things that aren't true and that things that you don't have proof on. Now, Carter, I know that we're getting in probably an area that you're not comfortable with.
No, I'm fine. Go ahead.
Okay, well, because some people aren't comfortable with it. I'm tired of the fear mongering when it comes to that kind of stuff. If you say fire somebody, Carter, we're saying to fire somebody from their job for something that we don't know that happened. He said versus she said. It got thrown out in federal court.
Yeah, so I'll say this about that case. I did have a buddy who's in the LSU media, not really in it anymore, but he is an actual lawyer. Okay, and he's very pro LSU, right? So he sent me a Twitter DM when all that was happening. He's like, Carter, you know what's funny? There was a lot about that lawsuit in particular that didn't make a lot of sense to him. And once again, I'm not smart enough to understand law like that. I have a lot of buddies who are lawyers. So, I won't comment specifically about that case in general, but your point still remains the same. Just because, and I always say this, whenever a serious story comes up, right? So me being skeptical of Matt House as a defensive coordinator, that's not serious in the grand scheme of things. Like, that's just me talking about him as a coordinator. Now it's serious. We care about him doing well, but that's not a nefarious case, right? Whenever something as serious as what that lawsuit was about, those things take time. But once again, in today's society, whenever someone brings up a lawsuit, that person, I'm not saying people say that they're automatically guilty. It's still one of those things. And because it takes time, because it is one of those longer stories, people don't want to give it time. People don't want it to.
Right.
Those things, litigation is a pain in the rear end. All that stuff takes months, sometimes years, to sort itself out. So this is just a good thing to keep in mind, right? Because when I was in DC, I covered Congress for a week. So I went to Capitol Hill and all that stuff.
Bet you that.
I was done after a week. I was like, I do not want to do this again. I really don't. I was an intern. I just didn't like it. Because it's not that, it wasn't that it was instant. It was just everything that they talk about is like over a long period of time. It's really serious stuff. So whenever a serious tough story comes out in sports, understand, whether it be just whatever story you can think of, there's going to be lawsuits. Lawyers have to be hired. Backroom deals and all that kind of stuff can get settled. And it takes a long period of time. And that's exactly what happened with that story in particular. So it's pretty fascinating.
Well, that's why it is what it is. It got thrown out in federal court, and we're saying to fire people. And when you start firing people for cause, Carter, I worry more about LSU than anything else. LSU's my only worry. It's not Ed Orgeron. It's not the Rudy Poo up the street. With all due respect to Harold Perkins, it's not Harold Perkins. It's not me. It's not you. It's nobody. It's literally, I'm worried about the university. And when you fearmonger and you run out there for clicks sometimes, not saying these guys do or anybody does, I just think it creates an issue.
Yeah, so once again, it was kind of a side story. I don't understand why. I don't even know Moscona and Collada didn't like each other.
Oh, I don't know if they do or if they don't.
I don't know. That was Danielle's. I believe that was Danielle's question.
Yeah, I don't know. I just hate the fearmonger. Like, LSU hasn't gotten, the big thing this week, Carter, has been the NIL, and LSU so far behind. I called a 5-star recruit this week, and I said, hey, is LSU far behind in NIL? He goes, hell, I could have been, no one could have told me that they were, because he's getting called from boosters from around here, around Baton Rouge, around Houston.
Interesting.
Right, So this whole that's my point. We've all been talking about this, but Carter, I picked up this damn phone and I made one phone call to him and his daddy, and he's telling me the hell if I don't know that.
Yeah.
And that's my point. What took me 25 minutes could take somebody else that same amount of time. So then we see all these people in the comments start saying, "Oh, Blake, we're so bad. We're so down. We're so this. We're so that." And I have to explain to them that it's not true. Carter, it's not true. Anyway, we're getting down to topic. All I know is I want a peanut butter and jelly. That's all I know.
Yeah, we'll hang out for a little bit longer. Once again, shout out to my football card co-host Andy. There he is, Fantasy Football Card Quest. If you want to subscribe to our football card podcast, that is the link. Yeah, I think Danielle was just saying, like, why is there always beef? I don't know. I don't have any beef with anyone. I believe. I don't think. I don't think anyone hates me in particular.
No.
But still, my point earlier though was I can't solve why so and so has blocked you from the channel. That's something that you and that person can sort out between you and God. You know, I just
right. Well, here's my biggest thing, Carter. It's I would used to get a DM from one of Ed Orgeron's honcho men at the end of one of my shows because he was mad that I talked about what happened on the field, and I'm like, bro, this is y'all just lost to UCLA, my guy. Like, y'all stink. I mean, you're 11-11 last year. You suck. I mean, like, what you want me to tell you? Like, you're more worried about me than anything. Anyway,
there you go, Skipper. All you got to do is send me a Venmo or a Cash App.
Do it. Be a part of the brotherhood.
The Booger Band Club in honor of our dear beloved dog who passed away. And once again, this is going to be for you, Skipper. You're going to get one of these gold, hollow Tyrann Mathieu cards. There you go. That's
what's crazy to me, Carter, speaking about these cards. You know, Jerry Stovall had 65 rushing attempts, 64 rushing attempts, 89 rushing attempts. Okay. The man only scored, let's see, how many times? 30 times, 31 times. This man scored 31 times in his career, and he's considered one of the greatest LSU running backs of all time. That's crazy to me that the man never rushed for over 1,000 yards, and he's one of the best backs we've ever seen.
His number is retired.
Right.
But people still wear 21. I don't really
crazy to me, man.
All right. Blake will let you go enjoy some peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Once again.
Thank you, Carter, for bringing me on. This has been fun.
Are You Serious Sports? Check them out. I'll be on there soon enough. You'll be back on here as well. You were an excellent guest following Van Lathan and Jeremy Hill. Those are some big footsteps, man. I see a lot of great things.
Tell Jeremy Hill I want him in the Oklahoma drill. I'm not going to take no for an answer. It's never going to happen. I'm going to duck him every chance I get it. I just want to say it like I'm big and bad on you know.
Yeah, once Fletcher Cox laid those hands on, you're like, I don't know if I want to deal with
I want him in the big crat drill, but I'm never going to show up. Just let everybody know. I'm never showing up.
Are You Serious Sports is where you can find them. Go ahead and enjoy your peanut butter and jelly sandwich, my friend.
Hey, brother, I love you, man. Thank you so much. Go get your Carter bands. It's fantastic. Thanks, Carter.
All right, boss.
Later, man.
There you go. So I'll hang out here a little bit longer. Once again, I'm also a little bit tired. I'll answer as many questions as I possibly can. Stovall played both ways. That is true. He did. Great combination. Ruffino, go eat. I didn't know he didn't eat before live streams. I eat right before I come on here, right? I eat a taco plate because I'm chunky. So, yeah, I'll hang out here as long as you want. I already had a 5-hour energy. I still got to plan my Houston travel, right? I still don't have a hotel or anything. Caucus, we'll see you. Look at that. Look at Caucus right there. I love it, man. You got your cards right there. That's good stuff. It's really good stuff. I love it. Carl, yeah, me and Blake are really tight, as you can see. I still haven't met him in person. It's funny. I've never met Jay Hill in person. I've never met Van in person. That should be changing soon. And I've never met Blake in person. That kind of sucks, right? It is funny, like when you get into media, like most of the interviews you do, you don't ever even meet the people. It's the strangest thing in the world. I've done 1,000 interviews with Michael Felder, and I've never met Michael Felder. Guests have been great. I have no idea who guest number 4 is going to be. I don't. So if you guys have any suggestions, feel free to send them to me. Simper. Anyone notice most of the latest offers are mainly transfers? Yeah, Ulysses, that doesn't shock me too much. They did sign a new deep snapper, which was interesting. You know what's interesting, Mick? I haven't met you in person. Me and Jared, uh, I talk to Jared all the time. Jared did not come to the PHL meetup. And you know who did show up to the PHL meetup? ASAP Justice was there. But a majority of you weren't there. You have to admit, ASAP Justice, it was a lot of fun. All right. I have no contact with Justin Vincent. I've never even got a chance to meet Justin Vincent. He would be a lot of fun. You know what the question I would ask Justin Vincent would be in the national championship game? Did you think you dropped the ball too soon on the touchdown that he had in that game? I think about that play all the time. I thought he got in. It was so close to a Deshaun Jackson situation. I would love to have him on, Uncle. Let's see here. Yeah, it's kind of become that, Carl. I don't know if it's for better or worse. But yeah, the transfer portal has become that. Yeah, if I don't find anyone else, I don't know. I don't know who the next great guest would be. Fiocco would be great. Once again, I don't know Fiocco though. The thing that's helped me with these guests is, I kind of knew Blake. I know Van. Well, actually, I know Blake really well, and I know Van really well, and obviously, Jay Hill. You're in the student section for that game. It was such a great game. It was so strange. I was lucky to be on the field for that game, and yeah, it was wild. It was so wild. I met Robert Kraft on the sideline. It's so weird when you meet a billionaire. Like, they just are such different people than the rest of us. Yeah, for sure, Cosmos. Got to show him some love. Good to see you as well. Love the wine in the background. There we go. Good photo right here. Don't wait too late to book the hotel. Booked mine too late on my Starkville trip, and there were some undisclosed stains. That is concerning, Alex, but I would guess every hotel in Starkville probably has some undisclosed stains. So yeah. Yeah, Alex, I'll definitely have Blake back on, and once again, I'll jump on a show as many times as we possibly can. Yeah, tell Fiocco. I would love to. I'd absolutely love to. Yeah, it is a little bit different with NFL free agency because college free agency, the power, ironically, is all in the hands of the player. Whereas in the NFL, a lot of players have the option to go here, here, here. But in college, you can legit go anywhere. Anywhere that wants you, anywhere that has a slot open. Look, as high as we are on Harold Perkins, as much as we talked about him, he can come to LSU, not like where he is, or he could come to LSU, be phenomenal, and then just say, "Look, I can go anywhere and be phenomenal." That's where we are now. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Tom, where are you? Where are you living now? So, ZVR, yeah, ZVR would be fun. Let me ask you, where are you? How many of you are actually going to Houston? All right, type Y for yes, type in for no, or just say if you're going to Houston or not. There's quite a few of you going. Salt Lake City. Ugh. When I was in Salt Lake City, it wasn't the most um, pleasant trip in the world. It was fine. Slade Roy, deep snapper. Well, Salt Lake City is fine. Heck yeah, Daniel. I'll come crash at the Daniel crib. Montgomery, Alabama. I don't know about portal evolution. I will say this, a lot will change. I think players, now that the portal is going to be so loaded with guys, you'll see less players transfer. The class that's really going to struggle are just all the high school recruits, right? Yeah, Daniel, shoot me an email. I'll come crash. Yeah, most of our viewers are in Alabama, Lake Ozark, Missouri. Yeah, going ahead. Shout out where you're watching from. All 214 of you. So Haley was contemplating coming to Houston with me, and she can't go now because um, some stuff popped up. So we have to get a rental car, and yeah. Ellis is in Nashville. Rob is in BR. Gonzalez, Outlet Mall. I love it, baby. Nationwide is on your side. Valdosta, Montgomery, Slidell. Travis, welcome to the channel. I don't think you've ever chatted before. Good to hear from you. Denley, I don't think you've ever chatted before either. Smyrna, the president of PHL, Cliff, who's not in here, used to live in Smyrna. Coach, good to hear from you. So I don't know if I'll ever stay in an Airbnb again. But still. Mike, you're a new viewer. Good to hear from you. Oh, you moved from small town? You moved to a smaller town? Where is Glenmora, Louisiana? I don't think I've ever even heard of that. Yeah, Nathan, you're going to the game. Nice. Mike, thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate you, man. Kyle, I'll be in Vegas in a few weeks. If you want to meet up, shoot me a DM, man. So Grayson, welcome to the channel. Oh, that's cool, Denley. I am also a New Roads native. My mom's side is also from, all from New Roads. I'm just such a huge New Roads, Louisiana guy. Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate you, man. I just love New Roads. It's just my favorite place on earth. It really is. Oh, Jacob, you moved 10 minutes? That's good. And Dinley, also thank you for your service, man. We appreciate you. Reed's in New Orleans. That's good to hear. Van, that Tanger outlet, baby. Let's go. Ah, ah, ah. So yeah, it's crazy. We have so many viewers in Alabama, right? So yeah, it makes it a lot of fun. Lots of Bama Tigers, right? Shout out to all our Bama Tigers. Neil Farrell, Quan Alexander. I don't know, Grayson. I just don't. It's kind of hard to say. We made a push tonight. I know you're just joining us. Harold Perkins had the opportunity. But yeah, you buy your suits from Tanger Outlet. There you go. Well, all right, guys. I'll answer as many questions before we get out of here. Good to hear from you, Tony. Um, so I'll answer as many LSU questions as I possibly can before we get going. Um, Once again, I will keep going if we get another super chat, Venmo, or Cash App. Once again, we only have one new Booker Band Club member tonight. That is Mark, who is also getting an autograph card. Big time Mark right there. Once again, I'm giving away a gold hollow Tyron Matthew tonight. Just got these in. The cool thing about this gold hollow Tyron is that it matches his gloves and the uniform. Oh, that's cool. Doug Williams was your high school football coach at Point Could High Central class of 92. So cool, Denley. So cool. Yeah, the Badger. It's true, Chris. So true. Let's see here. They are great. The Booger Bands are great. And, you know, it supports the channel, keeps our dear beloved Booger in our memory. We still miss her all the time, but I know you guys miss her too. It sucks. Booger would make her appearance. Everybody would be happy. RIP to our Booger. It was tough, though, because this was our first Christmas without Boog the dog. So, yeah. Greg is also a proud member of the Booger Band Club. We have a lot of Booger Band Club members in Alabama. Tobo Tiger's not in here tonight. He is also a member of the Booger Band Club. Good question here, Jamie. And Jamie, welcome to the channel. I think this is your first time. We're also big on PHL dads. Jason was in here earlier. Carvis was in here earlier. All the super dads of PHL. New shirts are currently being made. Only got a few printed. I think they'll sell out pretty fast because I wanted to see if you guys like the design, right? It is pretty cool, though. Actually, Jared, you've seen the design. It's really cool. One of our viewers is actually taking care of all this for me this time. I like to support people that watch the channel. So, oh, Danielle, I'm so sorry about that. It's just everywhere now. The good news is they will give you strength. Hang in there, Danielle. You got this. Your grandparents sold Christmas trees? Yeah, Ulysses, it is interesting, right? I think that's what they're going to do. Adam! Are you kidding me? What's up, man? So Adam is also a member of the Booger Band Club, and he is our new top super chatter of the night. Thank you so much, Adam. And to all our super chatters tonight, Jared, Van, everybody. You guys have all stepped up. I really appreciate it. So, Adam, you get to pick the next topic. We'll hang out as long as you want, Adam. I was getting a little worn down there for a second. I'm fired back up. Let's go. mustache, man. Yeah, new shirt design is pretty awesome. Not gonna lie. Ooh, Adam, you missed the Miles Brennan debate that me and Blake had. Huh? 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 Huey says this is for the Harold Perkins Fund. I love your avatar, Huey. That is pretty impressive that someone that young has $5 to donate to the channel. Huey going Benjamin Button on us. I'm kidding. Thank you, Huey. I know that I'm pretty sure that's your little one. Welcome to the channel, Huey. Really appreciate a very generous donation from you and Adam. Thank you guys so much. Plant City, Florida's in the building. I love it. I love it, Adam. I'm glad you're very positive about Miles Brennan. I'm kind of in the middle, right? Because our sample is just so small and it's been so long. And it is a little concerning, right? So I've been lucky to know a few people in sports medicine. And it is interesting, right? That, Miles Brennan has this never before seen surgery, this never before seen rib injury. And we're still wondering, can he still take a hit, right? So yeah, it's very interesting. Mark, we do have some shirts now. We will have our new design shirts coming in soon. They are currently being printed and designed. Why is the picture all jumpy tonight? Jumpy, I don't know what that means exactly. If it's been jumpy, I apologize. So that's a good thing, right? Blake and I are very opinionated, right? There are so many members of the media in college football that never say anything, right? They never opine on anything. They never give you a viewpoint. So as much as Blake loves LSU, he loves LSU as much, if not more than I do. We have dedicated our lives to this team, right? I want to make sure that I'm giving you as honest of an opinion as I possibly can. And I understand you know this, Mark, but this is more so just a statement because I had a message from DRC's I didn't hear right now. He said, Carter, I got a little cringy when you were sharing your Matt House opinions and your deep dive. And what I don't do is I'm not going to compromise how I see things just for, the sake of lying to you, right? So, yeah, I'm a little bit higher on Miles and Blake. I also don't know about getting another quarterback in the portal simply because I just don't think another quarterback would want to come into a room where there's already three guys there. So, yeah, Adam, I trust me. I hope Blake is as wrong about that as anything he's been in his career. Because if he is wrong about that, we're going to win a lot of games. So we shall see. Yeah, I don't think RPO game is going to be Miles's forte, but it could be. You can still run RPO without a mobile QB. Max was pretty good on RPOs this year for the most part. That was probably one of his better things. Two and a half what? Yeah. Let's see. Mick? Mick, it could be you, man. You might have had, one too many margaritas tonight. Daiquiris, whiskey and cokes, whatever your drink of choice is. But this is also a good point right here from Ray, right? Miles Brennan was really dominant in high school. One of the more interesting thing about Miles Brennan in high school were his rushing numbers were actually really good. Uh, so yeah, who won the bowl game? New Year's Eve is tomorrow night. Really? I honestly did not know that. That's wild. So the college football, I don't know. I guess I just got caught up. Let's see. Michigan State did cover. I like it. I like Michigan State a lot without Pickett tonight. Mel Tucker, 11 wins, 11-2. Very impressive stuff. I know Blake is a big Mel Tucker guy. I like Mel a lot too. That's really impressive. Oh, look, Marky set it up, man. That's cool. Justin Vincent. Huh? 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 That's cool. So I guess Justin Vincent I just shot him a message. We'll see. We'll make it work. It's interesting. I learned something. I didn't know what this was a week ago, but I'm starting to learn more about Devi fantasy football, where these dynasty fantasy football fans are like these fantasy football fans are huge into evaluating high school prospects, like really early dynasty fantasy football. I'm kind of interested into it. I also think there's probably going to be a lot of error. So, like, I was looking at these mock drafts where, like, Quinn Ewers was like the number one dynasty pick, and I was like, really? We're already drafting Quinn Ewers? It's strange. Do any of y'all play Debbie? Uh, cool. I'm just gonna laze around and watch football. Yeah, Justin Vincent's gonna come on the channel. It's pretty cool. Thank you, Mark. I never thought Justin Vincent. I've never gotten to meet Justin Vincent. Um, so that's cool, right? Jay Hill and Justin Vincent. That's crazy. So my goal is to interview every great running back that's ever played at LSU, right? So we got to go down the list. I think after Justin Vincent, one back that I would love to interview because I actually kind of knew him in college would be Stephen Ridley. I freaking love me some Stephen Ridley. I actually have a Stephen Ridley autograph over here. So, Mark, because you said at the Justin Vincent interview, I'm glad you were the one that won the autograph card. That's cool, man. That's cool. Yeah, Justin's going to be awesome. So, yeah, I'm getting chills thinking about it. That's great. You just said give him a heads up. That's cool, man. It's amazing what all he's accomplished in his career, right? Doing what he's doing with LSU now. Just crazy. It's amazing though, like when you look at the college players are really catapulted their careers into something else, other than football. Uh, Especially a running back, and it's amazing uh, how quickly your career can end at running back, right? Johnny, I shot you an email earlier. Let me know what players you want in your booger band order, and how many bands you want. Uh, Keelan Williams would be fun too. I knew Keelan a little bit in college, not too well. I would love Stephen Ridley though. We have a few viewers in Natchez as well. Probabilities and absolutes. I love it, man. We're getting philosophical. That is true, Danielle. And this would have been a lot worse if, LSU had beaten Auburn, where, everybody would be going to the basketball game. Danielle, I have no deep thoughts. I don't. Other than I have the best thing going. This is the funnest project I've ever gotten to work on in my career. Um, I didn't think it'd turn into this, right? Haley did. Haley had more belief in it than I did. I always felt like I was going to do something in college football media. And we are working on some potentially big things going into next year. Um, so yeah, I'm really excited. Um, I don't know if we're gonna do a video over the weekend. Um, I would like to do a Saturday live stream. I do feel a little burnt out a little bit. Um, but yeah, not burnt out from doing this. I haven't been feeling the absolute best. That's why I really needed Blake on here tonight. I haven't been sleeping well, uh, but still, I want to be energized, ready to go to Houston. So yeah, the interviews have been great. Right, I owe Van Lathan a lot for that too, um, and Jeremy obviously, but Van Lathan, he and I have become pretty close, and he was like, "Yeah, go ahead and do the interviews." I was always nervous about interviews. Uh, you know, with those three, it didn't bother me as much because all three of them work in media, so they know the importance of having a good internet connection and being ready to go and all those things. Whenever you do an interview, though, there's so many things that can go wrong, right? And yeah, I'm glad everything has gone smoothly up to this point. Yeah, Danielle, I'll probably do a live stream on Saturday night, but we'll see. Dang, Reed with the most aggressive Danielle flirtation I've ever seen. Goodness, Reed. You spew out a bunch of nonsense, but that is strong. But Danielle, as far as something else is concerned, I love this team with all my heart. Right, it's my favorite thing. I think it's cool that freaking Justin freaking Vincent is going to come hang out with us on the channel, and I'm just going to let him share his ridiculous amount of football and business acumen knowledge, knowing what he does now. Uh, yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Oh, really? Huh? 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 Oh, okay. it's something else as well. When I am doing an interview, it's just crazy because number one, we've had so many people in our interviews, right? The Van Lathan one, you know, we had a bunch of people jump in there at the end, especially when he started sharing all those crazy stories. Uh, it is a little different though because the whole time when you're doing an interview with someone on your channel, you're always wanting to make sure that they sound great. So what's funny was tonight I never I get Haley in the other room to listen to make sure everything sounds great, and she shoots me a text. Tonight I didn't do that, so hopefully everything sounded wonderful. All right, Greg, we'll see you. Adam, thanks again for our top super chat tonight. I really appreciate you. Your booger bands are already in the mail. There you go. Johnny, I'm going to send yours out tomorrow. I wanted to see what players you wanted in particular because, I've sent you a bunch of stuff. Let me know, Johnny, who your secondary favorite LSU players are. I got a huge collection here. So, Johnny, if you're a Dalton Hilliard fan, I got Dalton Hilliard cards. If you're a Eric Andalisic, I don't know how to say his last name. If you're a fan of his, I got some of his cards. I actually gave out my last Rohan Davey cards because Joe was a big Rohan Davey fan, and of course I sent him my last one. I got to bump up my Rohan collection. Hammock. There you go, Adam. Yeah, your cards are in the mail. Let me see. Oh yeah, Adam. Ooh. Adam, I sent you something pretty special. So there you go. You're getting some goodies heading your way, man. Well, Laurie Lee, the thing is, I offered to pay Harold Perkins to come on the show tonight. Weren't able to work it out. It was kind of on the fly. But as I say with all athletes, I want them to go where they want to go, right? Cole Tracy cards. I don't have any Cole Tracy cards. Can you tell me where to get Cole Tracy cards? I tried to buy a Josh Jasper autograph today, and the seller wouldn't budge off his high price for a Josh Jasper card. Brett, welcome to the channel. I have no news on Trey Bradford. Brett, I'm not going to lie. When I first saw your avatar, I don't know, Brett, if you've ever gotten this, right? And Brett, please don't take this the wrong way. I take this as a high compliment because this guy is in my top 5 actors of all time. I thought you were Woody Harrelson. There you go, Johnny. I'm going to send you some deep cuts, right? So let me just write that down. Deep cuts. I think I've sent you Fournette cards. But when I first saw it, Woody Harrelson's like my favorite actor of all time, right? So White Man Can't Jump. And obviously my favorite season of a television show I've ever seen, Brad, was True Detective Season 1. That was the best acting I think I've ever seen in an entire series. Him and McConaughey were so next level. So, Brett, take that as I hope you take that as a compliment, right? Because Woody Harrelson, of course, is a world-class actor. Top 5 for me. I've never even heard of this movie. I'm not a big movie guy or just TV guy. I just mostly watch sports. But yeah, Johnny. You know what, Johnny? I'm going to send you some of my. Let me look right here, Johnny. Let me see. Here you go, Johnny. This is one of the ones I'm going to send you. Right. This is actually a really cool card right here. I'm going to send you a Tommy Hodson. Look at that card right there, Johnny. This one's actually, for an older card, not in horrible condition either. So, Johnny, I'm going to send you a Tommy Hudson, if that's fine. I'll send you some newer stuff as well. But my dad for Christmas hooked me up with a bunch of vintage stuff to give out. I think I do have a Corey Webster card. You've never gotten Woody Harrelson before? Let me look real quick. Big pusher for some Corey Webster. Let me see. This is how. This is how. This is from the same set, right? For you old schoolers out there, who remembers Harvey Williams? There you go, Danielle. Huh? 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 Yeah. Who remembers Harvey Williams? It's a great card right there. Central Lafourche Trojans. No mark because I think John Trey is a COVID 6-year. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for making PHL great. I'm pretty certain we're going to do a live stream on the 1st, on New Year's Day. If not, it'll be Sunday night. Just be on the lookout for that. If you can make it, if you make it. If you can't, you can't. I totally get it. So, yeah, pretty excited about that. It is. Pow. Ow. LSU. Boom. Congrats, Johnny. Tommy Hudson. And what are we doing tonight? Ooh. We're doing some authentic Mexican carne al pastor tacos. Let's go.